So, you're an older man. Maybe you're in your 40s, 50s, or even 60s. You've seen the world, built a life, maybe even survived a few heartbreaks. And then along comes this young woman, vibrant, full of life, a little wild, a little mysterious. And for some reason, she gives you attention, not just polite small talk, but real attention. And suddenly, whether you admit it or not, you start feeling alive in a way you haven't yet in a while. It's flattering, it's exciting, and it's exactly where most men start making mistakes they don't even realize they're making. You see, there's something very specific that happens when an older man is drawn to a younger woman. He forgets that he's already complete. He forgets that all the years, the battles, the lessons, those are his power. But in that rush of dopamine, he starts adjusting. He starts softening his edges, shrinking himself down, trying to fit into her world, instead of standing solid in his own. And that's when the dynamic flips. She stops seeing a man and starts seeing a guy trying to impress, trying to be cool, trying to win her. And just like that, the attraction disappears. This video isn't about judgment, it's about clarity. It's about helping you keep your dignity, your masculinity, and your self-respect intact in the face of temptation, admiration, or even genuine connection. We're going to talk about what not to do when you're in the presence of a younger woman, and how a stoic man, a grounded man, a man in full possession of himself would approach this entire situation differently. These aren't just dating tips, they're life strategies. So if you're tired of being confused, manipulated, or thrown off course by someone who hasn't even lived half your life yet, this is going to be a wake-up call you didn't. I know you needed. Stick around, because by the end of this, you're going to see exactly where men fall and how you can rise by doing less, not more. Number 1, don't try to be her age. You're not her peer. One of the most common mistakes older men make when engaging with younger women is trying to shrink themselves down to her world, trying to talk like her, dress like her, or pretend they get her pop culture references. It usually starts from a good place, a desire to connect, to relate. But what actually happens is the complete opposite. You lose the very thing that made you interesting in the first place. The moment you try to act like her peer, she stops seeing you as the grounded, composed, experienced man, and starts seeing you as someone trying too hard. And no matter how subtly you do it, she can feel it. Women, especially younger ones, have a sixth sense for authenticity. When an older man tries to be cool by mimicking her lifestyle, it feels off, not because of the age gap, but because of the insecurity underneath. The reality is, your age is not your disadvantage, it's your edge. You've lived, you've failed, you've risen again, you carry something she doesn't even understand yet, presence, a deep, unshakable presence that only comes from time in the trenches of life. That's what draws her in, not your ability to name some trending TikTok dance or quote her favorite Netflix show. But too often, older men feel they have to keep up, when in fact, the most attractive thing you can do is slow down, be still, be solid. Let her run her youthful energy around you while you stand firm in your center. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine you're on a date, and she mentions how obsessed she is with some 23-year-old influencer. You could pretend you know who that is, laugh along, maybe even pull out your phone and fake scroll like you follow them too. Or you could simply smile and say, "I don't follow that stuff much. I'm more into conversations that don't disappear in 24 hours. But one sentence, that's strength, that's difference, that's mystery." And that's exactly what catches her off guard in the best way possible. Not because you're trying to be her, but because you're reminding her you're not. That's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to be relatable, you become magnetic. Number 2, don't become her emotional sponge. Another trap older men often fall into is becoming the emotional sponge for a younger woman, absorbing all her chaos, confusion, and childhood wounds in the name of being there for her. It starts innocently enough. She opens up about her past. Maybe her ex treated her badly. Maybe her parents were never around. Maybe she's working on herself. And because you're older and emotionally mature, you listen, you want to help. You feel like, maybe, just maybe, she sees something in you she can't find in boys her age. But slowly, you find yourself being her therapist, her emotional dumping ground, her midnight phone call when life feels overwhelming. And deep down, you think this is building a connection. You think, if I'm the one who understands her, she'll choose me. But the truth, that's not romantic bonding, it's emotional outsourcing. Especially younger ones will often unconsciously gravitate toward or older men for a sense of stability. But if you confuse emotional caretaking with attraction, you'll get stuck in the most frustrating position possible, the friend zone dressed up as intimacy. You'll hear about her bad decisions, her confusing dates, her mental health spirals, but none of it will lead to respect or desire. Why? Because a Stoic man doesn't entangle himself in drama to feel needed. He provides calm by simply being calm. He listens without rescuing. He offers insight without investment. There's a difference between being emotionally available and emotionally absorbent. One is grounded, the other is needy, dressed up as nice. Imagine she calls you crying about her latest situation, and instead of diving into fix-it mode, you just say, "That sounds like a lot. I hope you give yourself space to figure it out." That one line, it signals that you're present, but not caught. She feels seen, but not able to latch on and pull you into her emotional storm. That's Stoicism in practice. It's not about being cold, it's about knowing the difference between offering presence and sacrificing your peace. A man who's mastered his emotions doesn't let someone else's turbulence pull him off course, no matter how pretty the storm looks. Number 3, never chase her validation. Let me say this straight. The moment you start chasing her validation, you lose your center. It doesn't matter if you're older, wiser, or more established. If you shift your behavior just to earn her approval, you've already given up the frame. And with a younger woman, that imbalance becomes obvious fast. You might not even realize it's happening. It starts subtle. Maybe you change how you dress because she commented on your style. You reply faster to her texts because you want her to see you're available. You bring up topics she likes, hoping to look more relatable. On the surface, these seem harmless, but underneath, you're moving out of alignment with yourself to get a reaction from her. And here's the problem. Validation is a trap with no end. The more you chase it, the more you need it. You start adjusting not based on your values, but based on how she responds or doesn't. Suddenly, she's not just a person you're interested in. She's the judge of your worth. That energy is unattractive, not because women hate attention, everyone likes to be wanted, but when the desire for her attention turns into dependence on her approval, she feels it. It shifts the polarity. You become the one following. She becomes the one leading. And now you're operating from her frame, not yours. You don't lead from need. You lead from presence. This is especially important when there's an age gap. If you're the older man, you naturally bring life experience, emotional steadiness, and masculine structure. But the moment you start craving her validation, laughing too hard at her jokes, over-explaining yourself, getting nervous when she's quiet, you throw all that strength out the window. You become just another guy trying to win her over. And trust me, she's seen that before. You don't have to impress her. You have to hold your standard. Women, especially younger women, are highly sensitive to energy. They can feel when a man is rooted in himself and when he's bending to keep them interested. And while they might enjoy the attention for a moment, it doesn't build long-term attraction. What builds attraction is mystery, boundaries, Depth. A man who knows what he brings and never tries to convince anyone to see it. Stoicism reminds us, your self-worth is internal. It's not up for debate. It's not a vote. It's not something anyone else can give or take away. So the second you find yourself seeking her reaction, pause. That's the signal. You've drifted from your frame. Get back to it. Instead of asking, does she like me? Ask, am I showing up as the man I respect? That shift in question brings everything back to center. And let's be honest, we've all done it. You meet someone who sparks something in you. It feels good. You want more of that feeling. So you start performing just a little. You try to keep the energy up. But performance always leads to pressure. And pressure always kills presence. If she pulls back, let her. If she goes cold, observe. If she tests you, stay still. The men who attract deeply don't react, they respond. They know validation from others is sweet, but it's never the source. The moment you need her to validate your worth is the moment she realizes she doesn't have to. So don't chase her smile. Don't chase her attention. Don't chase her reassurance. Chase alignment. Chase growth. Chase the version of yourself that doesn't flinch when approval is delayed or denied. That man doesn't just attract, he leads. If you've ever caught yourself adjusting just to be liked, say it out loud in the comments. I've done this. Next, we're stepping into a deeper truth. Impressing her is never the answer. Leading her is. And I'll show you exactly how in the next section. Number 4. Don't try to impress, lead instead. Let's get one thing clear. The moment you try to impress her, you've already handed her the frame. You're now performing, hoping, reacting. And no matter how smooth, stylish, or confident you think you're being, she feels the shift. She can tell that you're no longer grounded in your purpose, you're orbiting hers. Especially when you're an older man dealing with a younger woman, this dynamic can sneak up on you. You assume you have to prove yourself. Maybe it's the age gap, maybe it's the culture gap. Whatever it is, you start showing off your career, your lifestyle, your experience, your stories. On the surface, it feels like leadership, but underneath, it's still just seeking approval. Here's the truth. She doesn't need you to show her how cool you are. She needs to feel how centered you are. Not flashy, not forceful, just calm, deliberate presence. That's what leadership looks like in a relationship. And if she's young, she's likely surrounded by guys trying to win her over with noise. When you show up with silence and direction, you instantly stand out. So what does it actually mean to lead instead of impress? First, it means you make decisions. You're not always asking what she wants to do. You have a plan. And if she's truly feminine at her core, that direction is magnetic. You say, let's go here. Not, where do you want to go? You move through life like a man who knows what he wants, and she either matches that energy or she doesn't. Second, it means you remain calm when she tests you. And she will. She might tease you, flirt with other guys in front of you, go cold for no reason. If you're trying to impress, you'll overreact. You'll try harder. You'll get defensive. But if you're leading, you stay composed. Not because you're trying to win the test, but because you're unfazed by it. Third, it means you don't pedestal her. You treat her like a woman, not a prize. You see her beauty, her energy, her potential, but you don't turn her into your mission, because your mission is yours. That's what gives your life structure. If you abandon it for her, she won't feel special, she'll feel pressure, and she'll pull away. Women, especially younger ones, are wired to feel power, not the loud, arrogant kind, but the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't flinch. And if you're trying to impress, what she feels is insecurity. If you're leading, what she feels is trust. Impressing is about getting something from her. Leading is about offering something to her. Clarity, direction, stability. And here's what separates the men who get it from those who don't. Leadership isn't about dominance. It's not about control. It's about vision, purpose. It's about inviting her into your world, not molding yourself to fit into hers. When you stop trying to impress and start leading, something shifts. You stop talking so much. You start listening more. You don't rush to fill silences. You let them breathe. You speak less, but when you do speak, it lands. Think back. Have you ever caught yourself going out of your way to look good in her eyes, buying things, changing plans, over-texting? That's chasing impressions, and it's exhausting. But the moment you say, "This is who I am, this is where I'm going," you're welcome to join me if you match the energy. That's when everything gets simpler, not easier but clearer. Because the women who are truly worth your time won't be impressed by noise. They'll be moved by direction. If this lands with you, and you've ever caught yourself trying too hard, own it in the comments. I've done this. Next up, we're getting into a deeper trap that most men don't even realize they're falling into, projecting a fantasy before even knowing the real woman. Stick around. This one's a game changer. Number 5. Don't project long-term fantasies early. This one gets more men than they'd like to admit, especially older men with younger women. You meet her, you click, and before anything real has even happened, your mind's already years down the road. Vacations together, a future, her on your arm at family gatherings. The fantasy builds fast, but it's all in your head. And it's dangerous. When you project a fantasy, you stop seeing her. You start interacting with an idea, one that only exists in your imagination. Every time she does something sweet or playful, you assign meaning to it. You connect dots that were never meant to be connected. Suddenly, one good date becomes, maybe she's the one. One deep conversation becomes, I've never met someone like this before. But here's the truth. You barely know her. You don't know how she handles pressure, how she reacts when you're unavailable, whether she respects your time, your mission, your energy. You just know the highlight reel. And that reel is easy to romanticize, especially if she's young, beautiful, and full of the kind of energy that makes you feel alive again. That's why this trap hits older men so hard. You've probably been through enough to crave peace, connection, something real. So when a younger woman brings that spark, it's tempting to fast forward, to imagine what it could be before you've grounded yourself in what it is. But Stoicism teaches us something critical here. Reality over fantasy. Observation over projection. Don't confuse potential with truth. A beautiful moment is just that, a moment. Don't inflate it into a story that binds you to an illusion. Because once that illusion sets in, you'll start tolerating things you normally wouldn't. You'll excuse red flags. You'll rationalize bad behavior. You'll bend your boundaries not because she's earning it, but because you're already emotionally attached to the version of her that lives in your head. And she feels it. Women are highly intuitive, especially younger ones who are used to attention. When they sense that you're ahead of the moment, already emotionally invested, already fantasizing, it shifts the dynamic. You lose your gravity. Your energy becomes anxious. You try to lock her in before she's even tested. The right move? Stay rooted in the present. Don't rush. Don't build stories. Let her show you through time, consistency, behavior, who she really is. Let her earn the future you're thinking about, instead of giving it away for free in your mind. And more importantly, don't use fantasy as a way to escape your own life. A lot of men project long-term stories because they're not fully fulfilled in the present. They want that one relationship to give their life more meaning. But that's never her job. That's your work. A relationship should add to your mission, not become the mission itself. So if you catch yourself scripting the future, too early, pause. Ask yourself, do I really know this woman? Or am I addicted to the way she makes me feel right now? There's nothing wrong with attraction. There's nothing wrong with excitement. But when it clouds judgment, you're no longer leading, you're reacting. And that's when you start losing yourself. Hold your frame. Hold your future close, but don't hand it out like candy. Let her earn your time, your trust, your emotional investment slowly, deliberately, like a man who knows what he's worth. And if you've ever found yourself building castles in your mind before there was even a foundation, say it with me in the comments. I've done this. Coming up next, we talk about something even more subtle but just as dangerous. When you become her emotional safety net without realizing it, and how to walk away from that role before it drains your edge. Number 6. Don't be her backup plan or emotional filler. Let's get brutally honest. If you're not her first choice, you're a placeholder. And if you're not careful, you'll spend months, even years, playing the role of emotional support while she waits for someone she actually wants. She'll text you when she's lonely, call you when things go wrong, ask for your opinion, your time, your presence, but never offer the same depth in return. You become useful, not wanted. And here's where most older men slip. Because you're emotionally steady, because you've lived through storms, you think offering that security will eventually win her over. You think, if I just keep showing up, she'll realize I'm what she needs. But need doesn't create desire, dependence doesn't build polarity, and being her emotional bandage doesn't make you her man. The real trap is subtle. She may not even mean to use you this way. She might be sincere when she opens up, when she shares her day, when she leans on your maturity and presence. But deep down, she's not looking to build anything real with you. She's just keeping you in her orbit. A safe place to land when her other options go quiet. That's not connection. That's convenience. You're not her therapist. You're not her diary. You're not her emotional life raft between boyfriends. You're either in a position of choice or you're in a position of use. And women, especially younger women, will unconsciously sense when a man is willing to play the backup role just for the hope of something more. And the more available you are, the more she'll start to expect that access without ever matching your energy. What makes this worse is that you'll start confusing her openness for intimacy. You'll tell yourself, she trusts me, or she's just not ready yet, or this is how real connection starts. But in reality, what's happening is simple. She feels safe, but not sparked, comforted, but not captivated. A Stoic man doesn't get pulled into emotional imbalance like that. He watches patterns, not promises. He doesn't confuse vulnerability with investment. He sees clearly. If she's only reaching out when it benefits, errantly available when it's convenient, she's not building with you. She's borrowing your presence until something more exciting shows up. And here's the truth you need to hear. If you stay in that role long enough, you'll start to resent her. You'll feel drained. You'll feel invisible. You'll wonder why your presence isn't enough. But it's not that you're not enough, it's that you gave too much without demanding clarity. So how do you stop being the emotional filler? You set the tone early. You match effort. You don't chase crumbs hoping for a full meal. If her energy is half in, you stay out. If she ghosts and reappears, you don't pick up where things left off. You don't reward inconsistency just because it flatters your ego. And above all, you lead with purpose, not with need. You don't need to be someone's safe space if it costs you your fire. You don't need to be the good guy who waits patiently in the background. Because when a woman sees that you're not willing to play the backup role, she either steps forward or she fades. And either way, you're free. If you've ever been caught in that limbo zone, half lover, half therapist, type it out in the comments. I've felt this. And remember, clarity isn't cruel. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're what protect your peace and keep your power intact. Too many men waste their energy on people who were never truly choosing them. Don't let that be your story. You deserve more than emotional scraps. And if you walk now, you might finally make space for the kind of connection that doesn't ask you to shrink. Number 7. Never lose your mission for her. Here's a hard truth. The fastest way to lose her respect is to lose yourself for her. And if you're not solid in your purpose, your mission, it's only a matter of time before that happens. You meet her. She's young, she's beautiful, she brings a spark you haven't felt in years. And slowly, without realizing it, you start reorganizing your life around her. You skip the gym because she wants to hang out. You push back your goals to make room for her mood swings. You soften your edge, adjust your schedule, shift your priorities, all in the name of connection. But here's the thing. She didn't fall for you because you were available. She was drawn to your direction. The sense that you were going somewhere, and she was either coming along or getting left behind. When you lose that, she may not say it, but she feels it. That silent shift where you go from being a man on a mission to being a man orbiting her emotions. And whether she admits it or not, that change kills attraction. Every single time. You see, masculine energy is about forward movement, progress, vision. It's not rigid or controlling, but it is anchored. It doesn't bend for feelings. It doesn't stall for chaos. It stays focused. And the more you let go of that focus, the more you become something else in her eyes, not a partner, but a passenger. Now, don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean you can't care for her. It doesn't mean you ignore her completely, but your purpose has to come first. Not because you don't value her, but because you value the man you're becoming more than the comfort of the moment. This is even more important if there's an age gap. You've spent years, decades, maybe building your life, your structure, your values. Don't throw that away just because she brings energy into your world. Because if you do, she'll start to wonder, if he gave it all up for me, was any of it really that strong to begin with? You have to remember, her role is to complement your life, not become its center. She joins your world. You don't abandon yours to fit into hers. You were on a path before she came. Stay on it. Women are drawn to the man who keeps moving, who stays grounded even when she gets emotional, who doesn't flinch when she threatens to walk. Because here's the unspoken truth: she'll test your mission, not to destroy it, but to see if it's real, to feel if you'll abandon it for her. When you stay true, she feels safe, not because you caved to her needs, but because you didn't, because she sees that your life isn't just about her, it's about something bigger, something she can respect, maybe even admire. And let's be real, brother, there will always be moments of temptation. You'll want to give in. You'll want to compromise just this once. But every time you do, you chip away at your own structure. And eventually, you won't even recognize the man you were becoming. Your mission is your core. It's what separates you from the lost, the passive, the easily swayed. And if you give that up, you don't just lose her attraction, you lose your own. So the next time you're pulled to skip the work, to soften your standards, to give up part of your path, ask yourself, would the man I respect do this? If the answer is no, then hold the line. And if you've ever drifted off mission for someone who didn't even stay, say it in the comments. I've done this. But now you know better. Stay locked in, stay grounded, stay in motion. Because the man who never loses his mission never loses himself. Number 8. She's not your purpose, she's a distraction. Let's cut the illusion right here. She's not your purpose, she was never meant to be. If you make her your mission, your focus, your reason for waking up, you've already lost the game. Not just with her, but with yourself. See, a lot of older men fall into this trap, especially when a younger woman walks into their life with energy, beauty, and intensity they haven't felt in years. It feels electric. It wakes something up in you. You feel wanted, seen, alive. And before you know it, she becomes the sun, and everything in your life starts to orbit around her. At first it feels like passion, but underneath, it's disorientation. You lose track of your path, your pace, your process. You start checking your phone every few minutes. You measure your days by whether she texts back. You shift your mood based on her energy. And slowly, your focus, the very thing that made you attractive in the first place, is gone. She's not doing this to you. You're doing it to yourself. When a woman becomes your center, you stop being the man she was drawn to. And this is the paradox. The more you prioritize her over your mission, the less magnetic you become. Why? Because she doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to join a man who already has one. You have to remember, feminine energy is pulled in by grounded direction. It wants to be led, not smothered, not obsessed over, not pedestalized. When she senses that your world shrinks to fit her, she'll feel it in her body, and it'll make her pull away, not because she's cruel, but because that energy feels needy. It's suffocating. It kills the polarity. Your purpose is what roots you. It's the reason you get up and move forward when things get quiet, when she ghosts, when she tests, when life hits sideways. Purpose gives you gravity. And if you trade that gravity for temporary pleasure, even the pleasure stops lasting. So, how do you know if she's become a distraction? Simple. When your routines suffer, when your standards slip, when your mind is constantly pulled toward what is she thinking, what is she doing, why hasn't she reached out? That's not love. That's addiction. A woman can add to your life. She can challenge you, inspire you, share moments that elevate the path you're already on. But the moment you replace your path with her, you've stepped off the road and into her emotional terrain. And trust me, you'll get lost there. This is where Stoicism brings the antidote. The Stoic man doesn't confuse external stimulation with internal fulfillment. He knows that purpose is something forged, not found in someone else. He builds it. He protects it. He returns to it over and over, like a ritual. And anything or anyone that pulls him from that purpose too often gets released. That doesn't mean you walk away from everyone who makes you feel something. But it does mean you constantly ask, is this connection sharpening me or scattering me? Am I stronger, clearer, more disciplined when she's in my life, or more chaotic, distracted, and emotionally reactive? Because when you stay locked into your mission, you won't need to chase her. You won't need to explain yourself. Your path speaks louder than any words. And women feel that. They respect that. Even if they don't fully understand it, they sense that you belong to something higher than their mood of the moment. And that's powerful. So if you've ever caught yourself drifting, if you've ever turned her into your reason, instead of staying rooted in your own, drop it in the comments. I've done this. Now you know better. You can still feel love, passion, intensity, but let it orbit you, not the other way around. Because the moment you confuse her for your purpose is the moment you forget why you're here. And that's the beginning of the end. Number 9. If she controls the tempo, you've already lost. Let's talk power, not brute strength, not volume, but tempo, emotional rhythm, the flow of how fast or slow things move. Because in relationships, especially ones with younger women, whoever controls the tempo controls the frame. Now here's the trap. You think you're in control because you're older, wiser, more experienced. But she's the one setting the pace when you talk, when you meet, when you escalate, when you back off. You're waiting on her replies. You're reacting to her moods. You're adjusting your energy to match hers. And before you even realize it, you're out of sync with your own rhythm and locked into hers. It starts off subtle. She takes hours to reply, so you start texting less but thinking more. She flirts hot and cold, and you respond by trying to match her energy. She pulls back, and you feel this urge to pull her back in. That constant adjusting, that's you surrendering the tempo. That's you following instead of leading. And let's be clear, this isn't about playing games. It's not about pretending to care less or acting alpha. It's about reclaiming your natural pace, the one rooted in your values, your routine, your mission, not in her approval or emotional weather. Because women feel this instinctively. They know when you're marching to your own drumbeat versus dancing to theirs. And when you start dancing to theirs, especially as an older man, it doesn't build comfort. It builds confusion. They wonder, if he's this easily thrown off, where's his anchor? A younger woman wants to feel pulled into your world, not the other way around. But if she's the one setting when things move, how deep they go, when conversations happen, how fast intimacy builds, you've flipped the polarity. She's now the one guiding, and you're the one trying to keep up. That shift kills tension. It kills respect. It kills attraction. See, masculine energy moves with deliberate pace. It doesn't rush. It doesn't chase. It doesn't wait around for signals to start acting like a man. It acts from its center, regardless of who's watching or responding. And that's where most men mess this up. They wait for the green light from her before showing presence, decisiveness, leadership. But the green light never comes when you're asking for it. It comes when you stop needing it. So what does it look like to control the tempo? You initiate plans, but you're not afraid to walk away if they're not met with clarity. You don't double text. You don't wait around for a reply before living your day. You don't escalate emotionally just because she suddenly drops attention on you. You move with intention every time. You don't match her chaos. You steady iter. You step back from it. This doesn't mean you bulldoze. This isn't about control in the toxic sense. It's about calibration. It's about having such a strong internal compass that no one else's timing pulls you off course. And if she resists that pace, that's your filter. That's your sign she's not ready to meet you at your level. Because the woman who truly wants to be in your world won't want to lead you through it. She'll want to feel where you're going and decide to follow that flow. Ask yourself this. When's the last time you let someone else's inconsistency affect your energy? When's the last time you hesitated on a move because you didn't know how she'd take it? If the answer is recently, then you've already let go of the tempo. But now you reclaim it. Start moving at your own speed. Start leading your own rhythm. Because if you don't, someone else always will. And when that someone else is a younger woman still figuring herself out, the direction of your life gets hijacked by emotion, not principle. Own your pace. Move like a man with purpose. And if she falls in step, great. If not, let her fall behind. Because once you hand over the tempo, you don't just lose the girl, you lose your edge. And without that edge, nothing else matters. Number 10. She wants your frame, not your flex. Let's finish this with a truth that most men, especially older men, get dead wrong. You think she wants your status, your stories, your car, your connections, the money, the watch, the "I've lived more than you" attitude. You think flexing that will win her over. But deep down, she's not testing your flash, she's testing your frame. Your frame is how you hold yourself when things don't go your way. It's how grounded you stay when she goes silent, how calm you are when she pushes your buttons. It's your response when she flirts with chaos. It's your reaction when she tries to pull you off center. And if your reaction is to prove something, to flex, to outtalk, to outshine, then you've already shown your weakness. Because true power doesn't need to posture. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't have to perform. It just is. You might have more resources than the 20-something guys in her orbit. More life behind you. More stories to tell. That's all great. But if you don't have control over your energy, if you can't lead the moment with presence and composure, none of that means anything. She'll smile. She'll listen. But she won't feel you. Because what draws a woman, especially a younger woman, is not the trophies on your shelf. It's your ability to hold tension without blinking, to stay composed when others spiral, to set boundaries without anger, to stay silent when silence carries more weight than words. That's what she's craving, even if she doesn't have the words for it. And if you're constantly trying to prove your worth, constantly highlighting your experiences to show her what a real man looks like, you're not leading, you're posturing. You've made her opinion of you the measuring stick for how you show up. But your frame isn't about being loud, it's about being anchored. You walk into the room, and you don't need to dominate it. You don't need to flex credentials or brag about what you've done. Your energy says it all. Your eyes scan slowly. Your breath is steady. You speak with precision, not volume. She's not looking to be dazzled, she's looking to be contained. Because feminine energy is unpredictable, wild, spontaneous, emotional. That's not a flow, it's part of the polarity. But for that polarity to create real connection, she has to feel that you're the container that doesn't crack under pressure, that you don't shift your identity based on her moods. And that's where your frame becomes everything. When she throws a test, you don't flinch. When she brings drama, you don't escalate. When she's unclear, you don't chase for clarity. You stay calm, solid, not distant but grounded, not reactive but observant. That steadiness, that's what she respects. That's what draws her in more than your lifestyle, your past, or your resources. And here's the kicker: when you're truly in your frame, you become rare. Because most men, regardless of age, are still trying to impress, still trying to win approval, still trying to flex their way into her attention. But a man in his frame, he doesn't need attention. He already has direction. He doesn't broadcast his worth. He lives it. So if you've ever caught yourself oversharing, overcompensating, or overdoing it just to stand out in her eyes, say it in the comments. I've done this. But now you know what actually stands out. Stillness, certainty, control without force. That's your edge. That's your advantage. That's the part of you she feels when she's quiet, when she's watching, when she's wondering if you're different than the rest. Drop the performance. Hold your frame. Because the real flex is not flexing at all. If you've made it this far, you already know something most men never figure out. It's not about charm, it's not about chasing, and it's sure as hell not about impressing her. It's about presence, discipline, vision. It's about standing on your square, unshaken while the world, and yes, even she, tries to pull you off it. You're not here to be chosen, you're here to choose. So if this video reminded you of the strength you've forgotten, the standard you're now ready to hold, don't just scroll on. Own that shift. Subscribe to the channel. Join the brotherhood of men who move with intention. And if you're ready to go deeper, to sharpen your masculine edge and embody Stoic power in every part of your life, consider becoming a Stoic member. We're building something real. And it's not for everyone. But if it's for you, you'll feel it. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.